welcome to An Old Man Running. When I started running again this year in March, I kind of started on the beach. I'd been doing long walks on the beach and slowly progressed to sort of short interval jogs, and then finally I started to get some 5k runs together. And when I first started doing this, I simply ran in these. They're a pair of Adidas, I think they're called NMD knits. I had them as casual shoes and it was all I had. And they were fine. I was running on the beach with these short distances, but I was starting to feel the pain a bit with them and decided I should treat myself to a pair of running shoes. But it was really confusing because when you start doing the research online, you hear reference to different kinds of runs and what shoes are best for these different kinds of runs, and it was all very confusing to me as somebody that was just kind of starting out. But as I've progressed over the last few months, I've gained an appreciation for, especially if you're training for races, what the different kind of runs are about, and also what shoes are better suited to those different kind of runs. So I want to talk a little bit about that today, and I guess I'll start with a phrase that people use all the time, which is a daily trainer. For me, daily training are distances of about anywhere between 4 miles and 10 miles. That's kind of my typical training pattern. The type of shoes I'll use for these vary a bit according to the pace I'm running at. If I'm going at a kind of relatively slow pace, just getting some miles in, I'll use shoes with a bit of cushion, and 3 shoes I use for this. This is the Endorphin Shift, Saucony Endorphin Shift. I'm a big Saucony fan. They just happen to fit me really well. I like the name, but I've grown to really like the shoes. So these are the Endorphin Shift. And I'll talk about all of these shoes in reviews later on, but they're comfortable. They're a little bit heavy, but I kind of like them a lot. I've just got these, the Saucony Triumph 19, as an alternative, and so I've used those. Nice cushion sole here. Got a review coming on those. And then I traded a guy for a pair of these Asics Nova Blasts. Again, nice cushioned daily training running shoes. So that's 3 alternatives I use. There's tons more out there in the market, but that's your core shoe, and it's one frankly that could do you for all the different kinds of runs. Kind of relatively slow pace, just getting some miles in. I'll use shoes with a bit of cushion, and 3 shoes I use for this. This is the Endorphin Shift, Saucony Endorphin Shift. I'm a big Saucony fan. They just happen to fit me really well. I like the name, but I've grown to really like the shoes. So these are the Endorphin Shift, and I'll talk about all of these shoes in reviews later on, but they're comfortable. They're a little bit heavy, but I kind of like them a lot. I've just got these, the Saucony Triumph 19, as an alternative, and so I've used those. Nice cushion sole here. Got a review coming on those. And then I traded a guy for a pair of these Asics Nova Blasts. Again, nice cushioned daily training running shoes. So that's 3 alternatives I use. There's tons more out there in the market, but that's your core shoe, and it's one frankly that could do you for all the different kinds of runs. If I'm running a daily training session at a little bit of a faster pace, like sometimes people will call this your long race pace. So for example, I'm planning to run a marathon in June of this year, and part of the training for that involves running progressively longer distances at the kind of pace that you run in a race for the marathon. So for me, that's going to be around 5 minutes 30 per kilometre, which is a little bit faster than the pace I'm going in those easy runs. That's maybe nearer 6 minutes a kilometre, 6.5, 6.10. So for those slightly faster paces, I'm using a different shoe, simply because I'm a shoe addict. But 3 shoes I use that are a little less cushion but lighter weight, just a nice faster pickup. I use these, the Hoka Rincon 2s. These shoes get a lot of criticism for wearing out fairly quickly compared to other shoes, but they're extremely comfortable. They pick up the pace well. They're the only Hokas that really fit me well. I find the rest of the Hoka range a little bit narrow for me, and they actually, I tend to be in between sizes with them. But Hoka Rincon 2s, I love these shoes. My favourite shoes that I run on the beach all the time with at faster paces is the Saucony Kinvara 12. And another great, very versatile shoe that I use is the Saucony Freedoms. These are Freedom 3s, the Freedom 4 is out now, but these are great. They're light like the Kinvaras, but they've got a little bit more cushion. I've run these at faster paces, all the way up to half marathon distance. Often, especially after you've run a longer run or you've had a particularly hard week, people talk about a recovery run shoe or a recovery run where you just kind of beat up, but you need to just kind of, you know, loosen the muscles up or just get back out running a little bit just to kind of keep the habit going, but recognize that your body's recovering a little bit from a beating. And you know, the daily training shoes will work fine for that, so you know, the Shifts or the Triumphs and so on. But other shoes I use for a recovery run are these Puma Velocity Nitros. Whoops. Puma Velocity Nitros are nice. Just really comfortable ride. I mean, you're not going to feel comfortable picking up the pace in these, but they're a nice alternative for a short recovery run. I don't like them for longer distances, but you know, if you're 5-6k after a long week, these are good. Another shoe that is really good because it's so light and very cushioned is these. These are the Skechers Max Road 4 Plus. There's a Skechers Max Road 5 which has a plate in them. These are just non-plated shoes, and I can run, you know, long distances in these, very slow pace, very comfortable. These are excellent recovery shoes. Also excellent for another type of run, which is the you would call it a long slow run. So it's where you're trying to build up your stamina and getting used to longer paces, but not going at your race pace. So a long slow run, these shoes are good for. They run a little bit hot for me in the Florida summer, but you know, it's a minor criticism of them. So for a long slow run shoe, I like these. They're not perfect, and I'm still searching for a great long slow run shoe, but these are decent. I had hopes that these Triumph 19s might work for that too, but I've only just started running in them, and they run extremely hot and they're a bit too heavy for me, so I'm not so sure these are going to work out. The Asics, these are good too. Again, these are not shoes for picking up the pace in, these Asics Nova Blasts, but I find them comfortable, so those are a good alternative. Endorphin Shifts are a comfortable shoe for me through about 10 miles, but past that they really start to feel a bit heavy on my feet. I'll finish by talking about a couple of other categories of runs. The first of these would be the types of runs where you're trying to build up your speed capability. So that could be something like interval training where you're maybe doing 4 or 6 or 8 times 100 meter sprints, or you're doing something that you hear people talk about, a tempo run where you're running a shorter distance at faster speed. You're not quite going as fast as you can, but you're going pretty fast to build up your speed capability. And again, you can use any kind of shoes you want for this, but I like to use a bunch of shoes that are a bit lighter, that have a bit more punch to them. My favourite for these are, funnily enough, called the Saucony Endorphin Speeds. This is a pretty bright colour, but I got them on sale, so what the heck. So Saucony Endorphin Speeds, these are Speed 1s, you've got Speed 2s as well, probably be Speed 3s out soon. They've got a nylon plate in them, so like you hear reference to super shoes. These are like fast shoes that professional runners are using for races that have carbon plates in them. So this is a nylon plate, which is slightly more forgiving on your body, I think, and on your foot. So I've run intervals in these shoes. The other shoes I like, the Freedom 3s are good for this as well. So again, a very versatile shoe, the Freedoms, Freedom 3, Freedom 4. You can certainly pick up the pace on these. The The Rincons you can do it with as well. I've used the Kinvara 12s when I've run a bit faster on the beach. And then the last category of runs are races and race shoes. And let's all be honest with each other here. As older runners, we're never going to set records, but it's enjoyable to go and push yourself and see how fast you can go in a race. Get the little medals they give you. They do awards for age categories, so there's 5-year bands. I'm currently racing in the 55 to 59 year band, and all of the local runs that are available to you will have those kind of races. And it's just super fun to do it and to pretend that you're a fast athlete. And one of the ways I like to pretend I'm a fast athlete is to wear a fast race shoes for that. I've used the Speeds in half marathon races. They're although they're a faster shoe, they're really comfortable, and I've found these pretty much kind of disappear on my feet when I'm running half marathons, but can do a nice pace in them. I did 150 half marathon at the last weekend in them. Great shoes. For shorter races, I've been using these Saucony Endorphin Pros. These are amazing. They've got a carbon plate, so very stiff. Tons of push off from them. Just a great shoe. You feel like you're cheating. You're bouncing along. Wonderful shoes. So I'll use these for 5k and 10k races and pretend I'm like a fast runner. Ton of fun. Shoe I used before I got those was these Adidas. These are Adidas, I always get the name wrong here, Adidas Adizero Pros. There are Pros 2. There's also Adidas Adizero Adios, which is a different kind of shoe. Don't quite understand the difference, but if you're an Adidas fan, these are great. Very, very light, thin top, nice kind of plated action as well on those. So I really like these shoes as well. I just like the Pros a little bit more. So lots of race shoe options if you want to kid yourself on that you're fast. And if, like me, you've got a bit of a shoe problem, it's another excuse to buy a different kind of shoe. So I hope this kind of run through of the different kinds of runs and the types of shoes that I wear for those was useful. I do want to finish by stressing that one pair of shoes can do you fine for all your types of running. If I had to choose one pair of shoes, I would use Saucony Kinvara 12s. They're not everyone's cup of tea because they are there's not a big sole here. They're very lightweight. You definitely feel the ground when you're running on them. I kind of like that. If you were looking for something with a bit more help and support, then the Nova Blasts are good. The shifts are good. You get kind of roll motion with them, so be very sure if you're in the running store that you try these on and you like the kind of motion it gives you. Triumphs are super popular. Saucony Triumphs. You can tell I'm a big Saucony fan, but these are super popular. And I would recommend if you're starting out running again after a long time off, or you just want as an older person to get more fit, that you start with one pair of shoes, good versatile daily runner. Take the advice of the local running store, try a bunch on. I've bought shoes online as well. Runner's Warehouse is one example where they'll let you return shoes if they just don't work for you, so take advantage of that. Hoka's great for that. Hoka have got a great return policy and very quick. So all is not lost if you buy a pair of shoes and you find out after a couple of runs you just don't like them. So hopefully this helps today. I look forward to giving you more in-depth reviews of some of these shoes. Talk a little bit more about each of them, what I like, what I don't like about them. And so I hope now when I refer to different kinds of runs in them that this video has been useful for explaining what I mean by